Excuse me, Charles. I don't need to know about your freak-a-leak ways, sir. Ooh, ooh. That's right. Queen is back. Queen is back. Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and we are back with another episode of X-Men 97. We are now on to episode 6 called Life Death Part 2. So the first part we saw a few episodes back. That was the part of the two-part episode that had Jubilee and Storm. And looking at the thumbnail, we're clearly going to be jumping back into Storm's story because it wasn't finished. We ended on a cliffhanger with her being attacked by some weird owl demon beast thing after she found out the truth about Forge and his unwitting contribution to her current condition. But we know that like they were working towards getting her powers back. I think they were getting close, but there was still something that wasn't quite right. And this owl demon thing captured Storm and basically said that it feeds on despair. And that is the emotion that was very strong in Storm at that point because she was missing her powers and feeling very displaced. And then couple that with feeling like she was betrayed by this man she was developing feelings for. It was a lot. So anyhow, whatever that thing was, it bit Forge and did something to him, and then it captured Storm and basically let her know that she was planning on eating her. So that's where we ended it. Pretty traumatic there. And then as far as the last episode, I'm not sure if we're going to go back into that one, but I guess we might have to. The last episode was crazy. My favorite episode of the season by far at this point. But we had a crazy attack on Genosha by some Sentinels and a Mega Sentinel that basically took down all these strong ones. It managed to possibly take out Eric, and it also did take out Gambit, but Gambit took it out in the process. It was a mutual taking out. But obviously very, very sad. Rogue lost both people that she loved most in the world in the same episode. We lost a ton of mutants as well. And we see that Cable actually tried to come back from the future and warn everybody, but he just wasn't there in time. And we see that Madeline actually figured out that Cable was her son in that moment. And we also saw that Madeline and Jean both got some type of a psychic blast just before the attack happened, so hard that both of them ended up getting nosebleeds. So my guess is that maybe that was something or someone trying to stop them from seeing the attack or preventing it somehow. I can't be sure. I think more Jean, because Jean still, I think, has the Phoenix or access to the Phoenix Force. So that's a pretty huge power to have at your disposal. But anyway, lots of pieces that came from that. Very tragic ending. Going into this, hopefully we're getting to the point where Storm is going to get revived because we need a powerful Omega level X-Men back now because we lost Magneto. And well, Gambit wasn't Omega level, but he was still super powerful. So yeah, I'm ready to get into this episode and see whatever magic it brings. But just before I do that, a reminder that if you'd like to be notified of when I do uploads of this show or anything else that you might be watching of mine, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're in the know. All right, that out of the way, guys, let's get into the episode right now. He's part of it. Okay, he's part of it now. Oh, Sentinel, that's new. This is new. Bishop's back. We love, okay. Forge is actually part of her now. What was that? Huh? Professor X? Huh? Freaking love these intros so much. It's such a creative way to do them. I don't watch the intros of anything, yet I'm here, glued. What planet are we on? Who is this? Are we going to see Captain Marvel? Well, I guess you guys better breathe space. No?
Surrender? No, just perish.
She said. The Kree. Damn. I don't know these people. I know so very little about the Kree storyline. I watched a little bit through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I fell off that show, so I've missed a lot.
Be honored to fall at my feet, Ronan.
Woo!
You shall be memorialized as the corpse upon which I pose.
That is the best line ever. I want to use that. Be honored that you fell to me.
My dearest sister is always of utmost priority.
She says with sarcasm.
No ordinary talent.
Did you just sit down?
Now, in his greatest feat yet,
Yes.
this man has unlocked the secrets to my heart.
Did this need to be shared with everyone?
Joyous news in times
That's
of war.
very diverse people.
And our empire shall welcome a new emperor. Professor Charles Xavier.
Professor? Your people be suffering on Earth and you getting it on with an intergalactic you player. Can he walk because of the exoskeleton or did they actually heal
The
him?
might and glory of the Imperium.
Damn, Professor, I didn't know you was like that. I mean, I'm not mad at it. It's about time he'd be a little bit selfish.
Perhaps an empress could even spend a portion of her time ruling the galaxy from my little corner of it?
Who'd want to go to Earth on purpose?
Families often mimic black holes. Visit and risk being stuck in its ever-spiraling vacuum.
That is such a real bar right there.
Especially true with your students.
Such a bar, especially if you're trying to distance yourself from your family. But I mean, it's not like he was trying to distance himself. It just happened.
Invite them to the wedding.
They're going to be like, can you help us? We're dying out here.
Abandon them.
Yes, that's exactly it, because he did abandon them.
Much like my legs in this armor's exoskeleton.
Got it.
I pretend to be perfect, as my subjects would never love the woman beneath the armor.
Maybe it's the hair.
The virtue of a teacher lies in showing their students how to walk
On their own. I was about to say, you have to let go at some point.
He was trying to help me. A tawdry romance of guilt and shame. How many have suffered his gifts?
Okay,
How
listen,
many
ma'am, you're not part of this relationship.
Leave him.
No.
Don't play martyr. You will not break me.
Know that.
Forge made his bed. Let him die in it.
Damn, that's a new one. Usually it's lie.
The other way. Watch.
Ew.
Get used to it. You're not an X-man anymore.
Don't let her get to you or him, whatever it is. Stop despairing. You're giving it what it wants.
I was so tired. Is that why you feel your power?
Ma'am?
Refuge with this monotone family.
God. Oh, jeez.
I tear your thread and break your loom.
Okay, Forge. Jesus, that thing is creepy. Thank God. Hey, thanks, Forge. I know we broke up and whatever, but I appreciate you.
Despite my best efforts.
Oh, God. Nope, that doesn't look good.
If this nastiness gets worse while you're gone, I don't want to be alone.
Then we ride together, my love.
Oh, okay. We got to my love. And then they go to lovebirds. I see what you did there. I see that.
And her royal consort.
You're a consort, Charles?
Your man
Cute.
speaks as if I am your pet.
I mean, you kind of are, though.
Not an entirely displeasing thought.
Hush now, beloved.
Excuse me, Charles. I don't need to be know about your freak-a-leak ways, sir. I mean, I don't hate it, but sir.
We have been trapped in so much change. Some yearn for the stable comfort of what is familiar.
Yeah, well, the one thing that's constant in life is change.
Your consort was born on the wrong side of the stars.
Oh,
He is Terran.
oh, she said. She said, you from the ghetto, sir.
Would bind the Shi'ar into alliance with his inferior
God,
homeworld.
okay, wow. Why are we catching strays?
Xavier would see his Milky Way ghetto become our new throne world.
Oh! Excuse me.
A challenge of my own choosing.
Then choose.
No, I'm not scared of you.
You must renounce Earth and erase all memory of your life there.
How does that make sense?
Xavier must purge all memories of Earth, and you, dear sister, must be the one to do it.
Oh, they're both psychics. No wonder they get along. Wow, your sister's just jealous you found love in a hopeless place. Why don't you just say it, sis? Why don't you say you don't want to be single no more? You ain't have to go through all this.
To bind various cultures into one for the sake of galactic peace.
But you don't need to erase other people's background to do that.
What is united if one half must be erased for the sake of the whole?
Speak on it.
Do you love me, Charles?
Yeah, but not enough for me to give up who I am. I'm a Terran.
On Earth, you fought tirelessly to be tolerated and were nearly killed for it. Why remember? Why not
Because it's who I am. How am I going to be the man you love? Okay.
Not unless I forfeit my throne, which is exactly Deathbird's design.
Yeah, then don't let her have it and we break up.
Your devotion is beyond measure.
But
Perhaps it is time to show you mine.
Charles, I get it. I get the temptation, but how are you going to still be Charles if you forget your past? Like, who you are is it's a culmination of your past experiences. You're just going to be some dumb shell?
Demon was not your doing.
A big evil owl that feeds on anger and self-loathing. All may come in the water.
I think it was both of you, actually. You were both in a pretty dark place.
No matter how many I saved, my mutant gifts inspired twice as much hate and humanity. The way your machine
Some black girl magic right there.
I always heard how the worst weapon used by the Europeans was not bullets or blankets, but a white lie that they could make us bleed.
Preach on it.
I know how you feel about tight spaces.
Oh, great. Okay. I was just, having a small panic attack in that fake coffin a while ago, but it's okay. It's fine. I'm a queen. I'm a goddess.
Of your life there,
I do.
and of your X-men.
That was not an amendment that was part of the deal, but I guess you can't have one without the other.
Do you renounce your X-men?
See? He hesitates. How can we entrust our mighty empire, which has endured for eons, to a ruler descended of simians?
Ma'am, you pretty simian looking too. Don't be mad because our hair be superior.
A lower caste. A mutant. My sister, like my brother to Ken.
But isn't she a mutant if she's got psychic? Thank you. Someone needs to do that for a minute. I mean, this was going to happen regardless. It's not you, Charles, and that's why you shouldn't have been thinking about doing this, because this was just an excuse. Woo. The way Guardian's like, anyways, let the explosion come. That's some baller stuff. You little bitch. She is so jealous. Charles, you have powers, sir. You have powers.
I have forgotten my greatest gift.
Class is now in
Session, yes. Talk about how I'm minimal. How I'm a subhuman. That's right. Sit your asses down. Let me tell you who I am. Taryn. From the ghetto.
You done.
What I can do.
Please raise your hand if you have a question.
Yes, that's right. This is my world.
Now pay attention.
And don't piss me off or I'll leave your asses here. Seriously, the people don't realize how much that man holds back for our sakes. Every so often he's got to remind them. Excuse me. The way I could leave you all bumbling, drooling fools if I felt like it. Okay, we didn't need light anyways. It's fine. You are the light, baby. What?
You had to be the bigger woman. Had to save him.
Weren't you banished? Why are you here?
You pancaked by the pressure of existing. How unfair.
Storm girl, I need you to remember that you are an African queen.
See if you would let you live your tempting daydream.
Don't do it, girl. You are stronger than this.
No.
Period. That's right. Take your power back, girl.
Lay dead, or humanity will thunder down upon you and
You and your rotating head need to be gone. Ooh! Ooh! That's right. Stop with your rotating. Get out of here. Enough of that.
I am lightning.
Know that. You cannot tamp me down. Queen is back. Queen is back. Queen is back. Zap is creepy, crawly, rotating head ass. Bye. Hole in the sky pissed. Don't you dare. Send those feathers straight. Ooh. She said to space and beyond. Storm! Yeah, she said, let me put my outfit back on because y'all forgot who I am. The outfit. The outfit. Yes, look at her go. Even the hair grew back. I love it. This is absolutely beautiful. But does this mean we've forgotten about Forge? Just causing natural disasters because she can. That's right. I missed her glowing eyes.
what are demons but reflections of our fears and shame?
You better preach, girl.
We finally heal our adversary.
Damn, that thing moves fast.
So what now?
I've got things to do. I mean, you were a cute little tryst or whatever, but
Rumors swirl that Genosha is the opening salvo in the long-feared evolutionary war.
yeah, you've been out of it for a minute, sis.
Who can tell me from where the Shi'ar Imperium draws its might?
I love that he's actually putting them in session.
Demerits, raise your hand.
Yeah, this is his. That's right. Shut up.
Younger cultures that, had they not been tilled to death, would now be empires rivaling your own.
As you already knew.
Strike at the knees and claim you can help them walk again.
Period.
But only if they assimilate.
Mm-hmm.
Even you Terrans claim might is right.
He ain't wrong about that.
That for me to be more, you must be less.
You better keep preaching, Charles.
Who made up these
Precisely. If not the weak.
Your idealism would confuse our people.
Or give them freedom of thought.
Nonsense.
God, this is so relevant, this conversation.
Coexistence is messy.
Yeah, exactly. Why?
No,
Oh, he sensed it.
my children of the atom destroyed. No!
I must return to Earth immediately.
But we've nearly convinced
Nah, let you keep your counsel. I got things to do.
Charles, if you leave, you will prove my sister right about your kind.
Like, your sister's a loser. I don't give a damn. Bye.
End our star-crossed affair. So be it.
Exactly.
I will not abandon my
That, like, how is he Charles if he does that? You love him or you don't.
It is time I return to my ex.
Hell yeah. Gotta go. Sorry, boo. Your sister's crazy. Your family sucks. I don't know what to tell you. Y'all call me the ghetto. You call my planet the ghetto. Not even my planet, the whole solar system. You should know not to work with villains, bro.
You have nothing to fear, so long as you place your faith in Sinister.
Of course he's behind it. Woo! Damn, that was a lot, but it was good. It was tasty, guys. That was delicious. And honestly, very welcome after what we went through in the last episode. We needed something a little bit more uplifting. I'm like, if we have more sadness in this episode, it's gonna be too damn much. Woo! Good episode. My God, this show just dropped so much in the way of bars when it comes to thinking, the human condition, messages of acceptance, tolerance, understanding, all these things. They do it so well and they drop it like so concisely in such a short amount of time. Like, it needs to be taught in schools is all I gotta say. This needs to be taught in schools. But before we get to Mr. Xavier, let's talk a little about Storm because she was the shorter part of this episode. But we see that she's still dealing with this demon. And this demon is literally just bringing up all of her worst fears, all of her anxieties, all the darkness in her, and just getting her to bring it up so it can continue to feed. And it's bringing out a lot of the doubts and the issues that Storm has clearly been struggling with for a while, being a mutant, being as powerful as she is. And I think I touched on this a couple episodes ago about how, like, when you have this reputation, like, if we're going, there's so many variations of Storm's story in Marvel, but the one I'm going with, which I think we're going with here, is that since she was a child, she's been viewed as like a goddess, right? This pressure, this amount of just expectations put on her because of her abilities. People look to her to be this beacon of hope, this person who is able to change the very world around them for the better or possibly for the worse. And to have that in your head for such a long time, like since you were literally forming and developing who you are, it definitely adversely affects you. And while she was getting that level of praise to one degree, the world at large showing her all this hatred and prejudice because of her powers, that's a lot to deal with as you're growing up and trying to figure out exactly who you are and your place on this planet and what you should do with all these powers. And it's been a theme throughout this show, as it is throughout the X-Men story in general, of people who are doing the best that they can and trying to better and contribute to the world and having the world hate them because they're different, right? Like, the world has the expectation for the X-Men to show up and people like them to show up and help them when they can and do what they can to prevent death and destruction and mayhem. Yet, the second that they do anything that might be considered scary or wrong, the blame and the hatred comes back, right? And then we heard Scott talk about that last episode when he's like, you know, you people, we have to do everything to prove to you that we're human, even though we shouldn't have to. And then you expect us to be like you, but he's like, if we were like you, if we thought like you, y'all would be dead. Because y'all want to get rid of us. Y'all want to keep us in a magical box to pull us out when you need help. And then the second that we're done, you want to shove us back in the box because you're jealous of us. Really what it comes down to, right? So it's unfair. And Storm had to deal with all of that as well. And so, as I said a couple episodes ago, between that and the fact that her powers are such a huge part of her identity, but also a weight, also a burden, like she said, she did wonder what it was like to be human sometimes, because like it'd be nice to just not have this pressure. It'd be nice to just fit in. It'd be nice to not have to deal with all of the negative sides that come with being different. It didn't mean that she hated being a mutant. It's just a matter of, what it'd be like to wake up one morning and just not have to deal with all the stuff that I have to deal with. But now that it happened, as the demon was bringing out, like, it's like you could hide into this, Storm. You could just, the way you just dropped everything, left the X-Men, decided to disappear. Was that really all just because of the lack of powers, or is it maybe because of something you've been wanting to do for a while? Like maybe you've been trying to hide from your abilities and your responsibilities for a minute, and that's why you're doing this. And she had to kind of come to terms with that maybe she was reveling a little bit in not having that responsibility anymore. Like even though it felt weird, it felt wrong, it didn't feel good, 100% good, there was this weight off of her shoulders if she could just kind of hide away and pretend that there was nothing left for her to do. And so that was really what was coming to the fore, and that she had to work her way through. And I'm glad that she got a chance to actually understand that these feelings, this darkness, these doubts, these not so great emotions, that's all part of who she is. And it doesn't make her a bad person. And it doesn't mean that she doesn't want to do the good things that she's doing, but you're allowed to have your down moments, right? Life is a series of ups and downs. This is a down part, and she was afraid of it. She was ashamed of it, but there was no need to be. Being there is still something she could contribute, right? Just deciding that it was all or nothing was very much down to this darkness she was carrying around. But yeah, I really love how they kind of framed it all and how they illustrated it. And then eventually have her get to the point where she's like, actually, it's okay for me to feel this way. And what was it? Getting a little deep here, but the author, Brene Brown, look her up if you don't know who she is, but she's got amazing books that people should read. But she talks about shame and how it's a huge part of human nature and how it really adversely affects us when we don't know how to handle it. She has a line that always resonated with me where she says, shame cannot thrive in the light. When she finally said, nope, actually, I'm facing it. I'm facing these feelings. It's fine. My powers are amazing, but it's not who I am. I am amazing. I am the reason that I'm cool. I'm the reason that I am that girl, that I am her. The powers are a bonus, but all of those things that are amazing about me is me. It's not just the fact that I'm a mutant. That's just a part of who I am. And when she started to feel that and embrace it, she was able to tap back into her powers, which were probably already, like she said, it's not just this gun that was tampering me down, it was me. I started to believe I wasn't deserving of these powers anymore. But when she realized that ain't true, girl, I am a goddess. I'm sorry, I forgot for a minute. And we all have those moments, right? We all have a moment where we forget the badass people that we really are. Sometimes we forget how majestic and amazing we all are. And we all are, by the way, no matter what you're going through right now, no matter what your situation, financially, economically, spiritually, in your society, whatever it is, you are magical, you are a goddess, you are a god, you are a miracle. All of us, we all have something to contribute. We're all here for a reason. And when you remember that and get back to the core of that, that is when you can start to shine again and tap into whatever your superpower is. And you have one, I promise. We all have one. But digressing, she felt that, and we saw her powers come back with a vengeance, and she had to just sit there and revel in it for a minute. We saw that amazing, the new costume, yes, because we're in our queen era, the crown and everything. And she put out a blast that was so big that they saw that stuff. I'm sure they saw it on Shinar or whatever the hell it is that Charles Xavier is. That's how big her blast was. She said, girl, remember me. So I'm glad that we got Storm back. We missed her. I mean, she missed out on some of the crazy stuff that went down, but you know, things happen for a reason. And then we see that she was able to help my man Forge get whatever he needed to get that magical bite off of him. And yeah, apparently they are back on track because she's back to calling him my love and everything. So I guess she's over it. I mean, in the end, he lied and that was not cool, but was that the worst thing ever he could have done? I don't think so. I think it's definitely forgivable, and I think his remorse was palpable. So yeah, I mean, I'm for it. They're kind of cute. I like my girl getting some love in her life. So yeah, I mean, apparently they're going to be together for now, but we see now that she's finally up to date because they were dealing with everything. They missed what was happening in Genosha, and now they're up to speed. And we see that understandably Storm is horrified, and I feel like she's going to feel a little bit of guilt around not being there. But I mean, she wouldn't have been able to help at that point anyway. But yeah, she's going to obviously need to go home and figure out the damage and see what's happened and see what she can do to help pick up the pieces, and also just be there as a leader, because they do need, like, again, if we've lost both Eric and Gambit, which just thought of something, but if we've lost them both, we lost an Omega 11 mutant. We can't be losing them too quickly. So she needs to go home, and I think that Forge is going to be joining her based on what we saw in the intro. So hey, the more help we can get, the better, right? But yeah, that's pretty much Storm's arc in this episode. Glad that the no powers thing is done with. I'm ready to see my queen come back and start owning things. On the other side of things, we now know what's been going on with Mr. Xavier. Mr. Xavier, he is not gone, folks. He's just been taking a little vacation, a much needed one, to be fair. Because listen, one thing about raising children and dealing with all these damn kids is that every so often he just needs to get away. Charles needed a chance to get away for a second and remember what it was to just live his life for himself. I mean, obviously he needed to heal up. We see that the Shinar actually helped to heal him and bring him back from the brink, but it was also a mental respite for Charles because worrying about his X-Men and the planet in general, especially with his powers, it's exhausting. And not a lot of people took time to realize how tiring that was for Professor X, because he never really complained about it, but it was a lot. And so I can understand him leaning into this mental and emotional vacation from being entangled with all of that for however long he was there. It looks like it was at least a couple of years that he's been there, Earth years anyways. And so we see that not only did he get this mental respite, but he managed to fall in love with a woman who's like him, someone who understands what it is to have these abilities. And there is an intergalactic war going on, as I mentioned in the episode. I know about the Kree versus other people. I know that because of what little I watched of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, I only watched S.H.I.E.L.D. for like the first 2 seasons, I think. And then I just personally, it wasn't for me. I kind of fell off of it. But I remember hearing about that. And then, of course, we've seen that the Kree have popped in a different Marvel movies and shows. So I'm aware of the Skrull Kree. I know that they exist and kind of that there's a battle going on, but I don't know the specifics of it or how it started or why we're doing it. So, you know, any information that y'all want to let me know without spoiling too much, I would appreciate. But yeah, anyways, that's all going on there. And we see that Charles gets engaged because he's in love with this woman, and it's a chance at him to have a life where he's going to be on equal, well, I say equal footing, but we find out very quickly that these people are also bigots. But at least it's more of a, we hate where you're from, not so much the fact of, well, actually, no, they mentioned that they considered him a subhuman, so never mind. Just all around, still no acceptance. But I guess if he was their king, they'd at least have to be quiet about it, right? It's a chance at a different life anyways, and something different than what Charles had, of not necessarily having to fight every day against bigotry, hatred, people coming after him. The X-Men constantly have to go out and do things just to be hated on. Like, just the emotional freedom from that, the mental weight off of his shoulders. I understand why it was incredibly tempting. Finding love, being able to find someone who genuinely understands what you're all about, loves you for who you are. That's an amazing thing as well. That's not easy to walk away from. So we see it's very tempting for him. And I think they gave some really good bars. His wife, what's her name? Liliana? How she mentioned the fact that, you know, it's one thing to care about your family, but if you go back and visit them, will you really be able to detach yourself and not get enmeshed with them again? And that's such a bar for those of us out there who maybe have not so healthy relationships with our families. Not that his relationship with the X-Men is toxic, but it's not always easy if we need to detach and take time for ourselves. If we are caregivers, if we are protectors, it's very hard for us to step back and just let people be and let us, you know, do our own thing. And that's Charles. Like, at his heart, he's a teacher, he's a protector, and he is someone who's very, very much his kids are everything. He's very much usually prioritized them and what they need and what they want over his own needs and wants. And it's not healthy to do that throughout the entirety of your life. You need to have things for yourself. And that was really what she was trying to tell him, that there's a danger that he'll lose himself again if he goes back. And I love that line that she said, like, the purpose of a teacher is to equip the students to be able to step out on their own without the teacher at some point. But then he says, you know, you have to be sure that they're ready for that before you do that if you're a good teacher. And I would venture to say that there's definitely still more need for Charles with his students. Like, looking at what Scott's going through right now, right? It shows that his job's not quite done yet, but still a valid point that he needs to be able to detach and also do things for himself and not live for his kids alone. But anyhow, we see that his fiance's sister is a psychopath and she don't like it. She wants to make a play for the throne, and she figures this is the perfect time to do it because her marrying a non-worlder, and what's more, someone that they consider to be a subspecies, is like a perfect wedge to drive into the community and their world around this marriage. And we see that she challenges Charles to prove that he's loyal to this community by erasing all of his memories of Earth and detaching himself from Earth by just not remembering it and renouncing any type of vows or responsibility he has towards it. And understandably, this is a huge ask of Charles because it's who he is. It's literally part of who he is. And we see that his fiance is actually not down for that, but because the gauntlet's been thrown, there's not much that can be done. Like if he rejects it, it's going to be seen as disloyalty to this empire. And so we see that they have that conversation and Charles really doesn't want to do this, but then he's like, okay, fine. Like, you know, his fiance's given up so much for him. Maybe it's only fair that he returns this. And that's love, right? That's the loving thing to do. But truthfully, the real loving thing is she should have never even thought of asking him to do that. Because as I said in the episode, our memories and our past experiences are literally what make us who we are today. Like you see, if you've ever met someone who's got full amnesia of who they are, they're not the person that they were, right? They literally have to rebuild themselves from scratch. And the person that, you know, people knew and loved, they cease to exist because your memories and your experiences are what build who you are. Like fundamentally, there'll still be some personality traits and stuff that will never change. But you know, who you are, how you talk, how you carry yourself, the way you treat people, all those things are tied into your experience and who helped to shape you and what helped to shape you. So anyways, point being, if he had gone through with that, I don't know that she still would have been in love with Charles anymore because that wouldn't be the Charles she fell in love with, right? Like she's erasing who he is. His experiences on Earth are why he is the way he is. The kind, loving, empathetic man that he is very much shaped by who he was back on Earth and what he went through. So anyway, he agrees to do it and we see that he's willing to say screw you to Earth, which felt that. Same, sir, same. But then when it came down to his X-Men, his children, his family, that's where he really was like, ugh, you know, he had to hesitate because he loves them so much. Like that's so much more than Earth. That's his literal chosen family. And so we see that kicks off some conflict, but then Charles is like, okay, you know what? I've been real nice. Let me just remind y'all exactly why I'm Omega level telepath. I need to let you know that I've been sitting there being nice to you hoes. And I love that he put them in a literal class and sat them down like children and said, let me tell you about what you need to know. And in the lessons in that, I don't even think I can say it better than he did, but he just gave some great bars and lessons about what the history of Earth, to be perfectly fair. They were using it in this fictitious environment, but we all know that that's the history of Earth, what's happened, what colonizers did, and colonizers are not just talking about Euro colonizers. We're talking about anybody who's ever colonized anyone at any point, the mindset around it, but also the roots of bigotry and racism, which is that the idea that the groups that are, the people that have that mindset have this lie that they believe that by other people thriving and growing and doing well, it somehow takes away from what they have. And that's the biggest lie that's perpetuated by the cults that put this information out there. Because if someone out there that's different than you is doing well and thriving and living their life well, it's not cutting into what you can also do well and grow and succeed in. Those things are not exclusive. They're not mutually exclusive, but that's a lie that's perpetuated, and that's what generates the fear, and the fear is what leads to the hatred and all the other nasty things that come out of that. So just really great bars that he talks about as far as how these things happen and how it divides us unnecessarily and how it's just foolishness, and that the best way to defeat it is to stop, believing it. And like he said, coexistence is messy. It's not clean. People think that by forcing everyone to live and think one certain way, colonization, that it's going to take away conflict, but that's not the way it works. We're all diverse human beings. We all think differently, and certain cultures, they all have beauty and advantages and amazingness and things that are beneficial to the world that are unique, and that squashing them out or trying to force them into what does not make the world a better place. Like I've said it at a few episodes now about how amazing this planet would be if we would stop fighting each other and actually work together. Y'all, we would be in all those futuristic movies already. We would already probably take care of 90% of the health issues we're dealing with right now. But anyway, bringing it back. I really like that whole session. I love the way that they framed it and illustrated it. And we see that the council was actually starting to understand where Charles was coming from and kind of start to lean his way. But in the middle of that, he got the visions of what was happening on Earth. And what popped into my mind earlier was that only Gambit showed up. Remember, we were saying there's a possibility that Eric died because we didn't see, or Magnus died because we didn't see his body, or we didn't see the evidence of it like we saw with Gambit. So there is a possibility that somehow he is still alive. And again, I noticed some people were theorizing that maybe Leech has a power that somehow protected him or got rid of him, or maybe teleported them or something. I don't know. But either way, I thought it was very telling that only Gambit out of everybody showed up, because him and Eric are so tight that if Eric had died, he would have seen that too, I think. So I think that's our little Easter egg hint that it's just Gambit at this point that we've lost. Eric is away somewhere, but either way, he also sensed that there was a lot of other mutants that died, and that overwhelmed him because we know how Charles is empathetically connected to the people that he reaches out to. So yeah, it knocked him on his ass, and we see that he said at that point, look, I gotta go home. Like, that answered the question. If he had any doubts before about whether or not he needed to stay or go, that was his last push. He's like, nah, I gotta go home. That's what's important to me. That's what's up. And she's like, you know, his fiance is understandably trying to convince him otherwise, but he's like, nah, fam. By the time I deal with all your political nonsense, I don't know what's gonna be going on back home. If we gotta break up over it, it's been sweet. Love you. Thank you for fixing me up. I gotta go. Can I take the skeleton though? Because the skeleton's kind of boss. The skeleton's kind of boss. I kind of like being able to walk. I'm kidding. I don't think he's gonna bring it with him. I think it's pretty iconic. Charles in the chair is a pretty iconic look for him on Earth. Plus, I'm not sure whether or not the Shinar would want their existence known on Earth if Charles chooses to leave. At least not at this point. So anyway, yeah, that's basically what he tells her, is that I'm sorry. Like, it is what it is. I gotta go home, and if that means we're done, then we're done. But I can't turn my back on my family. I can't do that. Not when they need me so badly. So that's where we ended it, with him essentially, I guess, breaking it off with her. Hopefully that they'll drop him home. I mean, the repercussions of this breakup, like we heard, his fiance, she's in a power struggle with her sister, and they already tried to do a bit of a revolt there. I don't think that's the end of that, but is that really Charles's problem right now? I'd say no. He's got other things to worry about. So yeah, I guess by the next episode, we might see Charles return. I'm not sure how he's going to explain where he's been. Again, I don't know if he can tell them about the Shinar, but I feel like he probably should, just to stave off any where the hell have you been and explain it. I mean, he's still gonna have to deal with a little bit of backlash. I can feel them probably, especially Scott, being like, how could you just leave us? But I don't know, we'll see. Charles definitely has the ability to make it so that they don't ask too many questions, but he doesn't usually like to abuse his power like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the reunion for sure and seeing where we're gonna go from here. I think someone was saying there's only 8 episodes this season. So yeah, if we only have 2 left, I don't know where we're going, but I'm very much looking forward to it. And I think I heard the series showrunner saying that the next 2 episodes are going to be insane. So I'm excited for it because these have all been bangers. All tick, 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 as usual. Great episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this along with me. If you did, please show some love, and I will see you in the next one.